They told me not to speak. They made me sign 37 pages of non-disclosure forms, all stamped with seals I'd never seen before. But after what I saw, I don't care anymore. Because I don't sleep, I barely eat. And I know something is coming. My name is irrelevant now, but for the record, I was a systems engineer for the US Air Force. Security clearance, top secret. Not the kind you read about. The kind that doesn't officially exist. In 2006, I was transferred without explanation. They flew me blindfolded to a location in Nevada. I knew where we were, of course. Groom Lake, Area 51. At first, it was exciting. We worked on advanced propulsion, sensor jamming. Stealth tech 100 years ahead of anything public. Yes, UFOs exist, but they're not what you think. Most of the sightings are just prototypes, reverse-engineered designs, recovered from sites the government keeps off the map. But that wasn't what broke me. That came much later. It started with an elevator, a door at the end of a maintenance tunnel I had never noticed before. Unmarked. No clearance pad. Just a keyhole, the kind that looked like it hadn't been used in years. Until one day I saw it open. 2 guards, no words, a man in a suit, the kind with dead eyes and a voice like gravel. "You've been selected," he said. "For level 7. No one ever talked about the sub-levels. Everyone knew they existed, but only in whispers. Level 4 was medical. Level 5 was experimental weapons. Level 6, no one really knew. But level 7, that was where things went quiet. They took my ID, replaced it with a black badge. No name, just a symbol, a triangle with an I, and then we descended. No buttons, no floor indicators, just a slow, cold ride down, deeper than any military facility I'd ever been in. No one spoke. No one breathed. When the doors opened, the air felt heavier, like something was watching us, and I swear I heard a sound, low, distant, almost alive. That was the first time I felt fear inside Area 51, but it wouldn't be the last. The elevator. Doors slid open with a hiss, not mechanical, not hydraulic. It sounded inorganic. I stepped out into a hallway I can only describe as wrong. The architecture didn't follow any known military blueprint. The walls weren't metal, at least not the kind I'd ever seen. They pulsed faintly like a heartbeat. There was a hum, constant, just on the edge of hearing, a frequency that made the hairs on my neck stand up and my stomach churn, even though the air was ice cold. "Keep your eyes forward," said one of the escorts, "and don't speak unless spoken to." We walked past doors with no handles. Some of them vibrated, others leaked a faint mist that smelled like ozone and iron. I passed one room and heard something slam against the inside. Not like a person, not like any animal, like wet muscle, hitting metal. And then something laughed, a laugh that wasn't human but understood how humans laugh. I froze. The guard turned, not to speak, but to stare. His eyes didn't threaten me, they begged me, "Don't react, don't look curious, don't open any doors." We entered a chamber with a glass wall, at least it looked like glass, until I realized it wasn't reflecting anything. Inside, there was a creature. At first I thought it was a man, very thin, very pale, but the longer I looked, I saw no mouth, no ears. Its eyes were pitch black, lidless, locked on mine. And then, without moving its lips, I heard, "You dream." In red. I staggered back. The guards didn't react. "Is it talking?" I asked, whispering. The man in the suit turned to me. "No, you're hearing it. There's a difference." They said it was a biological interface, a being recovered from a failed experiment in dimensional travel. It wasn't from another planet. It was from another version of here, a parallel Earth, one where things didn't evolve like they did here. They call it Specimen A701, but the staff called it the Mirror. Because when it locks eyes with you, it knows everything. Fears you've buried, thoughts you haven't admitted, memories you forgot on purpose. That night, when I tried to sleep back, in my quarters, I saw it again, in my dreams, not the creature, but myself, standing in the same chamber. Only this time I was on the other side of the glass, and I was smiling. The next day, they showed me more. Chambers with machines I didn't recognize, ones that looked grown, not built. Pods that held humanoid forms suspended in translucent fluid, twitching occasionally. One room had a cube, perfectly floating in mid-air, humming slightly. They said no one built it. They found it, buried beneath. Antarctica before the ice. It doesn't do anything unless you touch it. Then it shows you something different. No one's seen the same vision twice. One man saw a spiral of burning angels. Another heard the voice of his dead daughter reciting binary code. One woman tore her own eyes out after 8 seconds of contact. And still, they keep it active, in case it's trying to teach us. But the worst room, the one that haunts me most, it was completely empty. 4 black walls, no lights, no sensors, just a table. And on that table, a recorder, old analog, cassette style, playing on loop. The voice on the tape was me. Don't go any deeper. Level 8 isn't sealed, it's asleep. And if you wake it up, then static. I asked them how that was possible. They didn't answer. Just looked at each other like they'd heard it before, because they had. I wasn't the first version of me to be brought down here. And maybe I wasn't the first me at all. They never mentioned level 8 by name. They only called it the Vault. And no one, absolutely no one, was authorized to access it. Until, after weeks debriefing with researchers, analyzing data, examining things I wasn't supposed to understand, I started asking the wrong questions, or maybe the right ones. Why is the base built downward and not out? Why are levels below 6 not mapped? Why does level 7 feel like it's watching us? The man in the black suit returned. Same dead eyes, same gravel voice. You've been cleared for a single entry into Vault 8, no speaking. No touching, no questions. He handed me a small black card. Smooth, warm to the touch. No text, just a symbol etched in what looked like bone. A circle pierced by 3 lines, like claws. The elevator ride was different this time. No guards, no lights, only a pulse. A deep rhythmic vibration that synced with my heart. Down and still again down, until I felt like we were beneath the earth itself. When the doors opened, I couldn't move. It wasn't fear. It was pressure, like gravity was heavier here, or time flowed differently. The floor was made of a smooth black stone, not synthetic, not natural, something else. Ahead, a massive vault door, the round, ancient, humming faintly. There were no hinges, no bolts, no locks. It didn't open, it simply wasn't there anymore. And beyond it, darkness. A corridor that didn't seem to have walls, just void. As I walked forward, lights flickered above. Not electric lights, but thoughts, memories, visions, people I hadn't seen in years, places I'd never been, events that hadn't happened. Yet each flicker felt like I was living entire lives in milliseconds. Then I saw it, a chamber, spherical, immense, lined with mirrored panels that reflected not my body, but versions of me. A soldier, a child, a man with no eyes, a corpse floating in space, a priest screaming in tongues, an old man whispering, "It always ends here." In the center of the room, suspended in a cylinder of frozen air, was it. It wasn't alive, but it wasn't dead. It wasn't a creature, but it wasn't a machine. It had form, constantly shifting, folding, in and out of itself like it didn't follow our geometry. Eyes blinked where no face existed, mouths opened, then disappeared. It was like watching a dream try to become real, and it knew me. I didn't hear a voice. I remembered one. From before I was born, you brought us here. You built the path, and now you've come home. My knees buckled. I couldn't breathe, not because of the air, but because my mind wasn't holding together. I saw things, other versions of Earth. In some, humanity never evolved. In others, we ruled the stars. And in one, I saw a world where something else wore our skin, perfectly mimicked us, but without emotion. And then the last vision, a version of me, walking into Vault 8 alone, just like now. "You are not the first," the memory voice said, "and you will not be the last." I don't know how long I was in there. When I woke up, I was back in my bunk. No memory of returning, no badge, no proof, just a note handwritten and left on my chest. "You saw too much, but not enough. Speak and others will listen. And then it will wake, Now I don't know what's real. I don't know if I ever left that room. I don't even know if I'm still me. But I do know this. The vault isn't a prison. It's a gateway. And level 8 isn't just watching. It's waiting. I thought, waking up. In my bunk after what I saw in level 8 was the end. Like I had survived something forbidden, escaped a nightmare. But I was wrong. The nightmare was just starting. Because after that day, nothing made sense. The clocks in my quarters started moving backward. People I worked with for years looked at me like they'd never seen me before. My ID no longer registered in the system. When I looked in the mirror, my reflection blinked a half-second too late. And then I started remembering things I'd never lived. Memories of places I'd never been, conversations I never had, a child, a daughter. I could feel her hand in mine, see her face. But I don't have children. I never did. I asked the man in the black suit if they'd done something to my mind. He looked at me for a long time and said, "We didn't alter your memory. We just opened the door to the others." I didn't understand what he meant, not fully, until the dreams came back. But they weren't just dreams. They were bleed-throughs, fragments of other versions of me, other timelines, other choices. In one, I died in a fire. In another, I lived on Mars. In another, I worked for them, the things from level 8, and each night the line between this world and the others got thinner. I started waking up with bruises I couldn't explain, codes scribbled on my wall, messages in my own handwriting. I never wrote. It's not a base, it's a beacon. That's when I understood. Level 8 wasn't built to contain anything, it was built to transmit. The thing in that chamber, that was never a prisoner. It was a seed. And every time someone looked at it, every time a human mind tried to comprehend it, it spread, not like a virus, like an idea, a self-replicating concept, a consciousness too big to be contained in one world or one mind. I wasn't sent to see it, I was sent to carry it. I left the base 2 weeks later, quietly. No resistance. They let me go, because they didn't need to keep me. I was the payload now. And that's why I'm telling you this. Not because I want to expose secrets, not because I want revenge, but because I need you to understand. If you've listened this far, if you've imagined what I saw, it's already inside you, this idea, this presence. You'll feel it soon, in the gaps between thoughts, in the dreams you don't remember, in the mirrors that hold your gaze too long. And when you do, you'll hear it, the voice from level 8, the one that isn't speaking, but remembering. Just like I did, just like you will, because I'm not the only one anymore, and neither are you. End.